best life ever. At the Baby Hot Springs. It's the best life ever. Your child. The ambiance. Ooh, hot water. Boom. Well, I decided, I like that very much. My baby bump, still working on that shit. Can't work. Tired of stuff. What? Here we are, anyways. Really enjoying it's not a baby bump, it's a leftover baby bump from Giant Baby. Destroyed my shit, it's really annoying. My shit already back down, boom. That's a little love, and then fucking me off listening to that, and don't love it. I have 8 of them, you know? So this tiring, but taking me off with his daddy soon. As soon as I can save up some money and this whole college BS over. So I can fly again, because yeah, my shit's flying. I ain't gonna be doing nothing else for that distance. Peru, baby. Anyhow, I wanted to do a video on one of my many talents is perseverance, sticking to shit that sucks. It does have its benefit. It also is a detriment. If you're doing the wrong fucking thing and you stick to it, then that asset becomes a detriment. So, due to my schooling and education in natural healing, and due to where I got that education, I was convinced that doing a vegan diet was the healthiest, best thing for me to do. And don't get me wrong, the herbal training and the natural healing and health regimens and so forth. I don't love my baby's dirty diaper being in my thing, but then there's dirty garbage bag over there. Oh well, I mean, it's gonna be garbage in our background. People at least picked it up. I put it in the fire pit, at least some of it. And someone else brought it back and bagged it, so that's cool. Got a truck would haul it off, but I don't, so I'm gonna, someone else will. So the whole journey began when I was born I was born through my mother's body, but what brought my existence about was through the aid of a shaman Mayan midwife woman. My mother couldn't get pregnant and she was desperate to replace her baby that had died on her 2nd birthday in a tragic accident. You know, she had no business having more kids. No judgment. She really wanted to replace this child in hopes that it would make her feel better, I guess. And then she got me. I didn't make her feel better, but it maybe for a minute. These things usually are. But yeah, the shaman midwife woman Mayan Indian in Guatemala. Had my mother do all sorts of natural things. Anyways, that might not directly have anything to do with the story, but I believe, and I've gotten ideas, thoughts, and things come to me through books and so forth that have allowed me to realize the very high possibility that the shaman midwife, Mayan lady, put her gifts in me and put me in my mother, and my mother brought me forth, but I never fit in with all of them and all of that, and so I felt pretty alone and lonely and so forth, but my inner guidance always pulled me through joyfully, letting me know to not take anything personal, to not identify, etc. And so as I grew, I was seeing things in the medical system, birth-wise, etc., other incidences where my grandmother she fell down the stairs. They took her to the hospital, and I went there with my mother, of course, as a young child, to do whatever they were doing, checking on her, meeting with doctors, whatever, and anyways, I was seeing the enormous ridiculousness walking out of these hospitals, which just frightened me. And in my little child's mind, I was like, these people are more deformed and still sick. Like, this is really frightening, and I don't want to have anything to do with this. And then, watching and hearing about birth that women are having in hospitals was just horrifying and frightening. And so I was very sad to conclude that I would not be having any children if that was my only option, because I wanted a very large family for whatever the frick reason. And I had one. But anyways, as I grew, I was sad that this desire would not come to pass, because the whole medical system was horrifying to me. There was nothing impressive going on there in my perspective. So when I was around 17, 18 years old, my sister and her husband somehow got introduced to and started working for and studying through the School of Natural Healing. And through there, they discovered all sorts of natural things, like home birth. And I was like, yay, now I can do what I wanted to do. That's like the solution, right? So birth was saved for me, and I did manifest a pregnancy, and home birthed a child. However, that was a pretty traumatizing birth. I still did it, and I lived, and all was well. It was wonderful. The accomplishment, not the experience, was pretty horrifying and terrible. I'll speak on it in another video. Midwife, home birth, okay? And okay, we won't get into that. The point is that, vicariously through all this is the answer to my prayers. This man was healing people and keeping people healthy, supposedly in large part due to the vegan diet. And according to what he taught, it was the healthiest diet that one could do, and that it spoke of it in the Bible. And this fellow was Mormon, and though I was born into a Mormon family, I did not believe in the church. I didn't believe that so I don't know why I followed and believed this fellow so blindly, but what are you going to do? I just kind of thought, well, what I thought actually is that the Bible had validity, but not the Book of Mormon, and where this fellow had gotten his ideas was primarily from Bible. So, oops, my bad. So I forced myself to do this horrendous diet, and now realizing I started suffering quite quickly from it, because I didn't, I wasn't overweight. I was like a total toothpick. I didn't have many reserves from my diet growing up. Wasn't even great, so I hadn't accumulated, the reserves from that, huh? Your bubble's right there. So I'm pretty sure that was a contributing factor to my terrible birth, was the fact that I had done this terrible diet throughout it, and that's when I was 19 years old, and I proceeded to do this horrible diet through my next 2 pregnancies, which weren't back to back. So my first child I had at 19, and my next child I had at 24. So 24, 25. So there's a 5-year difference, and my body was able to recuperate enough to be able to make and carry the second child, but I was enormously sick through the whole pregnancy. Horrifying nausea all day long, and my birth was okay, but again, not great, and then I continued to suffer, of course, and just barely be scraggling along through till I had my next child 3 years later, approximately. And again, just horrible morning sickness, just terrible, and pretty long and terrible birth, at least according to my opinion of what I know birth can be now. Those were not great births. But I did have the ejection reflex with her, which is really cool, because I had actually started to question the greatness of the midwives, not loving birthing with them, and I was starting to go, well, why can't I just birth alone? Like, why do I have to have somebody help me? It doesn't make any sense, which has nothing to do with the food and stuff, but being that I suffered so much due to that diet, it made everything else horrible, including my birth. And so it's like a blessing in disguise, right? Because then I discovered an assisted birth, which I'll do a video on maybe right after this one, just for funsies, but see what I feel like doing. Anyways, the next pregnancy I miscarried at, which was an oops pregnancy, and I miscarried at 4.5 months, and like the baby hadn't even developed, I don't think, but I took herbs to expel or stop the miscarriage. So there's herbs you can take that if you're having a miscarriage with a healthy, alive baby, then it will stop the miscarriage and will repair whatever damage is there, and you'll continue to carry and birth your baby thanks to these wonderful blessings of herbs. However, if the pregnancy is not viable, meaning the baby has passed away, then it will help you to quickly expel the baby. You'll miscarry quickly and safely. So, I didn't have the herbs on hand when I started bleeding. I was working, I think, when I started feeling like crampy pain. And anyways, when I got home I was bleeding, and then it was already too late. The place where I get my herbs and things was closed, and well, it's the only place that has this variety of herbs. All the other stores that are open, and they didn't carry the particular herbs I needed. So I had my husband at the time go get the herbs in the morning, and as soon as I took them 2 hours later, all the, whatever was in me came out. But what it felt like was like that I need to go to the bathroom. So I went to the toilet, and everything came out done, which I didn't exactly, I didn't know that was going to happen in that moment, but there it went. And then so obviously I inspected what came out of me, and there was just tissue. There wasn't like any baby, so I don't know if like the little carcass or whatever, the little fetus had, went down because maybe it was tiny, or it had never developed. So what I had seen, it kind of looked like a sack of, or a bundle of the multiplied cells, but like they had enlarged. So that beginning stage of pregnancy had started, but then never went past that, like it retarded. So obviously, now I realize that it was my diet that had most likely caused that to happen. And then I was progressively getting bloated and overweight and staying overweight, and I couldn't get pregnant, which at that point I had 3 kids, and so why am I trying to get pregnant? That's more than enough kids. But I didn't know, my brain didn't function properly. I was on a big diet, starving, so, when you're on a starvation diet, you're making starvation diet decisions with a brain that's not functioning properly. So there was a lot of things going on in my personal life that were less than ideal, and I was not making wise decisions in those matters, like my relationship with my husband. He was very mean to me. He didn't even like me, and he was just a horrible human being. Like, why am I staying with this human being? Well, I was starving, and I felt like shit, and I didn't feel like I had the energy to take care of my kids by myself. And I didn't, I really didn't. And so, the horrible diet destroyed my health, and then it bumps into all areas of your life when you can't think or function, right? And so, of course, I didn't know it was my diet. I thought it was some bacteria, virus, disease, whatever, which is stupid because according to the guy that sold me on the diet, none of those things were supposed to be possible. So the only thing that it could have been, it wasn't disease, because disease can't exist in your body if you're vegan. But if I would have looked up, the symptoms of starvation, then I would have been like, oh my god, I'm fucking starving. But that didn't occur to me. course, my brain isn't functioning. How could that occur to me? So, I eventually went to a homeopathic doctor. He wasn't a doctor. He's a homeopathic person that knew about homeopathy. Trained person. In fact, I worked for him, and he was very lovely and helpful and adored by me, and still is. Dave's Health and Nutrition in Salt Lake. So if you're ever in town, that's where you want to go to get, a wide variety of all sorts of things. You're not going to find what you find at Dave's anywhere else. At least that I know of, because I haven't been to every single herb store that exists. So I don't remember exactly, but he gave me stuff, and he had me, I had realized, I think at that point, that I had adrenal issues, because when I was pregnant with my daughter, my midwife told me to take vitamin C because of my adrenal issues, because I was drinking coffee, because I just was so burned out. And my now ex-husband, I don't like calling him my husband, he's a horrible, horrible husband, and should never been my husband. He told on me to the midwife that I was drinking coffee. He's such a piece of shit, because I've drank coffee every pregnancy, it's no big deal. But of course this lady, who was my midwife, whom I also adore, at no fault of her own, did what she had to do to me, ended up causing me pain and problems, because it's law that she has to do these things. Diane Bjarnson, okay, she's wonderful, and if you want a midwife, she's going to do as good of a job as any, and she has loads of experience. I don't know if she still works, but it's possible that she does. Bueno. So, she told me to take vitamin C because of my adrenal issues, and then I looked up the symptoms. Bueno. ¿Quieres venir? ¿Te metes? ¿Te vienes al baño? This is more of a pregnancy video than not, but I was pregnant a lot. Or trying to. Anyway, things he gave me did help me get pregnant. But holy crap, I was so fat and suffered so much during that pregnancy. And, yummy. Diluted freezing cold juice. I love chugging cold things. Anyways, his birth was a nightmare-ish because of reasons. It was super long, and 3 days of labor. He was my first unassisted birth attempt, because though I was about to give birth, because of my ex caving and saying dumb shit to me, and me caving with his dumb shit, I decided to call the ambulance and go get an epidural, because I was tired of being in pain. I didn't know how much longer I was going to be in pain. So I go to the DRs and give birth, push him out there. I mean, this whole thing was crazy. I'll do a video on it. It was crazy and interesting, and I'm really glad I had the experience, actually, even though it pissed me off, because I was about to birth him, and they did basically, kidnap my child for a few days. Anyways, so at that point I was so obese, I was 60 pounds overweight, my breastfeeding fucked up, didn't work out. Oh, I did have one baby in between, which is also a very painful, nightmarish birth, because my kidneys were failing. So a baby I'd had before the hospital one. So, oh, my nightmare, I hemorrhaged with that one, and Shepherd's Purse came to my rescue. So it's like, there's all these wonderful herbs that save us from our vegan diet, thank God, because that shit's gonna kill me. Anyways, it was after that hospital birth that I was like, no, fuck this. This is not the plan for my life. And something's not right. And please send me, answers to my prayers, because I was just a freaking mess. I couldn't even get out of bed. I was just bloated, and it was actually, I realized after the fact, after I started healing, that it wasn't, like, I wasn't accumulating fat. I was retaining water. I was like 60 pounds of, like, water, because what the vegan diet does is it will actually start to shut down your organs, because you're starving to death. That's one of the signs of starvation. First, it'll eat all your fat, like actual fat, and then it'll eat all your muscles, and then it'll start to go after your organs. So, thanks to unassisted birth, I ran into different things like meditation, and that we manifest our own lives, and blah blah blah. So I started focusing on that, and then I started attracting things that were dietary, that I was like, oh my god, whoa, like, it must be my diet. So the first time I had animal product of any kind was butter and Bulletproof coffee. And that was the first time I ever felt alive. Like, I was high. I was high as a freaking kite. For the first time since before I was 18. Huh? Okay. Oh, you threw your cars in the hot water. Let's see. Okay. Anyways, that saved my life. And then from there, the Bulletproof coffee dude's recommendations were not working. Like, I felt good for like 3 weeks, and I started to feel like shit again. I was like, what the fuck? So then I ran into Weston A. Price information, and that did it for me. Like, I just needed to add in fermented foods to the meat and the butter and animal fat, and knock it off with all the supplements. So as soon as I tweaked those things, I was like on point. Like, within months, I'd lost 30 pounds worth of, all that shit, accumulated water and all that. So that saved my life. And then from there, like, I was feeling good, and I was on the road to, like, health. But I started discovering, bueno, lindo. Started discovering more things that I needed to tweak to get even better results, which one of those things was just like sleep and joy. And so I started doing the things I needed to do to get more sleep, and to do more things that I needed in order to be able to enjoy my life, like do things that bring me joy, which was like start going back into nature, hiking and camping and all this stuff. And then I realized I need to go do these things alone by myself, because my kids, as much as I love them, they're a lot of work, and it's just not quite the same, not even close. And so of course I want to go with them, and I want them to get their nature time, but I also need to go by myself. So long story short, as I'm implementing and doing these things, the person that I was married to did not like it, and he was doing like really crazy, insane shit, like making our cars break down to stop me from going. So then I was like, divorce. So like literally quitting being a vegan saved my life on many fronts and got me out of this nightmare marriage and situation that had actually kept me in because I was so sick. I didn't think I could have kids, and I couldn't. Like, if I would have kept doing that diet, doing that stuff, then I would have gotten, like, it would have killed me very soon. Like, it was killing me, right? It was killing me slowly and super painfully. Cleaning up some garbage. And luckily, in the nick of time, I found the solution. Like, I was retaining water, my kidneys were failing. I actually got life insurance, so they came out and tested my kidneys. Can you just enjoy life without bothering me? No, okay. See, it's not very relaxing when you have a baby whining, crying, like, hello, obvious. This would be way more satiating if I didn't have my baby. But it's okay, because right now this is my option. Papi. Es verdad, es tu papi. Ya tus papis calling. So, being a vegan got me, okay, and it's not entirely the vegan diet, right? Like, why did I attract veganism in the first place? Well, it's because I was already in a situation where I was being manipulated, controlled, and psychologically, emotionally, mentally abused from birth, because the people that I was born to, you know, that's how they learn to survive and get what they want. So that's what they were doing to me. And so I did a blog a while ago called Veganism, My Narcissistic Lover, or something to that effect, because it's all an attraction, one thing to the other. So I wouldn't have attracted veganism had I not already been abusing myself, had I already not been in an abusive situation in the first place, because like attracts like. And so I attracted a diet where I was abusing and killing myself slowly because I was already being abused and killed slowly. And the people whom I was born to who were doing this, they had it done to them too. Like, I'm not blaming them or angry at them. I know, my child will survive. He cries like kind of a lot. I'm going to just check out. Oh, Jesus goes all the way up. I'm going to go explore that. I've never explored this. Look at this. This is very hot water. The source of the hot water. Alright, let's go back and rescue Yaku from his sadness, if possible. I don't think it's possible. He's so sad. I don't know why, like, poor children are born on this earth and they're just literally miserable. And I don't get the point, but, you know, whatever. So, it's all a big jumbled mess. And, you know, we're all doing the best that we can. And we are manipulated and tricked by these covert narcissists into these diets and into these all variety of things because they're nice to us and they present it in a very sweet and nice way. Like this man that I learned herbs from, he was I believed him because he was the sweetest, most gentlest man, and I wasn't used to sweet gentleness, right? I was used to like people just tripping out on me and crazy shit. So it was very attractive to me. And I'm not saying that he was a covert narcissist. I think he was definitely an empath who was tricked into it himself. But now that I know what I know, like, the man was withering away. Holy shit. Like, he was literally skin and bones. Yeah, he was old, but he looked like he was on, you know, an average American diet. Because the way those people end up being and looking is either obese, huge, or withering away, right? Skin and bones. So, why I didn't connect the dots, I don't know. But I do believe he meant well, and it was his kindness and his sweetness that I trusted, that I needed. It wasn't his crap diet advice. But luckily I made it through, so I'm happy, and I did learn wonderful things that have benefited my life, and I'm very grateful for those things. So I do regret to a degree that I stuck to it for so long, but because of my wiring and because of the situation, that is the amount of time it took. So it's fine. I don't even actually truly regret that. It was a wonderful experience where I learned many incredibly wonderful things, and I came out of it perfect and great. And we made Yaku. It's the last baby we made. 11 pounds exactly. Yaku. And birthed at home in 2 hours and 22 minutes, I believe. There's Yaku. He's been an entirely carnivore produced child. I did eat, you know, some plants because I am not carnivore. 100%. Yep, Yaku. I am Wesney Price, I would say, because Wild People's Diet is what I try to the best of my ability to emulate, even though because of legal things and stuff, I had to put my focus elsewhere, and I haven't focused on my learning to hunt and fish and harvest hardly at all, and I'm super disappointed about that, but it was what it was. I needed to focus where I needed to focus. So, Yaku. So this summer, I'm hoping that I can put more focus there. And right now, because of the coronavirus thingy, agua. Then I looked up classes on getting my hunting license and concealed firearm stuff, but they're not holding any classes right now, unfortunately, so I have to be a little bit more patient on that. But as soon as I can, I'm going to do that, and that's going to be my now focus, now that I have all the drama and bullshit sorted. So I'm not really that, like I am, but I'm not as passionate now about the whole vegan debacle of my life as I once was. But at the time when I had more passion and interest in speaking about it, I was so disheveled and distracted by lawsuits from my ex and just being exhausted and the pregnancy of this baby, etc., that I was like, I didn't feel it. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do it when I could be more clear-minded and whatever. Well, now I'm more clear-minded, but I don't give that much of a shit. So my story would have been way better and more detailed had I done it before, probably. Oh well. It was what it was, and it is what it is. And the diet was terrible and nearly killed me. And it's not. None of our diets should be a primarily plant-based diet. Plants of all varieties need to be very specially prepared, or they have poisons and problems in them that will affect your health negatively, which is why one of the reasons why I had the issues that I had, because I didn't know, like I knew a little bit about that, so luckily I was doing it to a degree, but I wasn't doing it nearly enough, and there was areas where I wasn't told that I need to do these things to protect my health from the plant poisons, such as, the fellow taught to eat the seeds and taught to eat the peels, even though the concentration of the poisons are in those areas of the plant. So I was poisoning myself in addition to starving. So the thing I do different now with plants when I do consume them, which I do, is taking into consideration those proper preparations, which wild people do prepare their plants according to these considerations. And so I do eat plants, and I do eat loads of, well, I don't eat loads. Fasting is another thing I implemented into my regimen, which, mind-blowing, what the hell, dry fasting in particular. So I do eat more than 50% of my diet in animal products. Let's say that. Maybe 25% of my diet is plants, if even that, depending. And yeah, I feel so much better. Oh my god, I can't even believe, like, the solution is so simple, and I didn't know. So I carried that on, trying different variations of the diet, even getting to the point of almost doing